I'm very excited to teach this to you because this is one of the most important things you're going to learn. This is one of the most actionable things you're going to learn. I'm going to teach you how to shop, cook, and forage for food because here's the deal. You can have all the information in the world, but if you don't know how to execute it, you're dead in the water. Like we can have all the supplements in our supplements cupboard. We can have all the Instagram talking heads telling us how many steps to get and how much protein to eat. We can have all this information. We have more information than ever before available to us. And look at us. Just look at us. It's not exactly working. So this lesson is really cool because this is about how you actually execute your food decisions. Because food is the biggest dial mover for every health improvement you'd like to make. Weight loss is my space, but you might have other goals for yourself for health. Either way, you got to get eating right. That's not a secret. Everybody knows that, right? So let's talk about how to actually eat, right? So I've given you some lessons on meal timing, meal composition. That's all well and good, but are you able to actually execute that in your life? So shopping, cooking, and foraging, we're going to go in that order. And I'm going to walk you through this at a kindergarten level of syntax, shall we say. So number one, shopping. Let me tell you how I shop. I know that I need to eat protein, and I know that I need to also eat, fruits and veggies. That's human food, meat, fish, poultry, vegetables, fruit, nuts, seeds, dairy, that kind of stuff. I want to feel great in my body, so I want to try to eat that stuff most of the time. Like when I'm making meals at home, it's going to be that, Occasionally, I'll also need some convenience options, which I'm going to make sure I come back and talk about because I do think we need convenience foods. I'm pro convenience foods, and I think there's a way to goose convenience and still support yourself. Now, part of the convenience discussion will happen when we talk about foraging. Foraging is like finding food when you're out on the move, right? But also when you're grocery shopping, you're going to need to be able to have some convenience options in your fridge and freezer and pantry. Totally think that's important because otherwise what's going to happen? You're going to get up one day, you're going to get busy, the day's going to get away from you. You're going to say, oh, I didn't have time. I didn't have time to cook anything. There was nothing thawed. It's interesting because we use this passive language. There was nothing thawed in the fridge. Well, you have to thaw it. If you don't thaw it, it's not going to get thawed. We'll talk about thawing. So we just have to reconcile the fact that we're going to get busy and we're going to forget to thaw food. And then what are we going to do? Oh, I guess it's McDonald's. Well, sure, it could be McDonald's, or you could have some convenience options in your house ready to go. Like, let's just be prepared for all possible scenarios. And actually, the reason why the shopping, cooking, and foraging lesson made its way into the reboot is because meal prep is a topic that people think they really need to hang their hats on and live and die by. Meal prep. So this would be batch cooking your food on Sundays and then eating soggy leftovers from Tupperware containers for the rest of the week. I would never do that. I don't like eating leftovers that much, to be honest with you. So that's where this came about. It's like, how can we reframe prep, being prepared? I just need to be more prepared. So people always say, oh, I just need to be more prepared. Okay, let's be more prepared then. When folks say, like clients will say to me, well, I didn't have a very good week. I just need to be more prepared. I'm like, okay, well, let's do that then. Let's not just sweep that under the rug. I need to be more prepared. Let's be more prepared. Let's actually do it. Then we should have success, right? So shopping is where we start. Now, here's how I do it. I go to the grocery store a couple times a week. This is my own personal preference. Your lifestyle may vary. Maybe you're a batch shopper, a hauler. Maybe you go to Costco and you do a haul. I hate Costco. I prefer not to set foot in there ever if I could help it. So I'm also not feeding a giant family, so I don't, necessarily need that kind of bulk purchase. But I go to the grocery store a few times a week. I want to buy fresh generally. I know myself and I know that I like to buy fresh. I like to cook from fresh. And also my whims change and my schedule is nuts. Hello, welcome to the modern human experience. It's not unique or special to say that we're busy. We're just all busy, right? So when I go to the store, let's say I go today, it's Wednesday. Okay, I really do have virtually nothing in my fridge. But I got to get through, call it Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm going to look ahead for the next 3 days. Okay, let me just get myself sorted for the next 3 days. That's it. Because I'll probably come back to the grocery store on Saturday. Like I'll come every few days to the grocery store, get what I need. So it's Wednesday. I'll go to the grocery store when I have some time. I will look at my calendar, which is in my phone. I live and die by that thing. Unfortunately, I wish I didn't. Someday I won't, but I do for now. I look at my calendar and I say, okay, here's my meetings. Here's where I've got to be. Here's all my obligations. I'm booked and busy. However, I still have to eat food. I have to do the bare essentials of self-care, which is feeding myself, feeding yourself. when am I going to eat? When can I cook? When can I eat? So I look at my schedule and I say, okay, I'm going to have 20 minutes here. I've got 2 hours here. I've got an hour and a half there. I've got 45 minutes here. These are my little moments to eat. Well, I know I'm going to need to get some things that I can cook quickly. I need to get some things that I can ignore while they cook. Things like to go in the slow cooker, on the smoker, or cook for a long time in the oven, like ignorable food. Don't sleep on that. Ignorable food, things you put in the oven and then it just cooks away while you're busy. I need to bring portable stuff in case I'm eating on the run. I need to get convenience stuff that I can just quickly cook in a minute if I'm super, super rushed. I know what I need. I know what time I have available to cook. So I'm not going to go always with the beautiful grilled pork chop because that's a little bit of a higher maintenance cook. Maybe I'll grab a whole chicken, throw that in the oven because I realize I'm going to have small moments of time between my Zoom calls to eat. But while I'm on Zoom, that can be cooking in the oven. Or let's not sleep on the rotisserie chicken. That'll go into convenience options, right? So I think about, what do I have time to prepare? What's my time like? So that's where I start. What time do I have? Then I think, what can I cook in that amount of time? What do I know I can cook? By the way, got to start by telling you I'm not an amazing cook, and I don't care. I can cook food, and if I don't know how to cook something, I'll just YouTube it. We can learn how to do anything because don't forget, we're in the age of information. We can learn how to do anything. So I look at my calendar. What time do I have? Then guess what I do? I contemplate what types of cooking gadgets and methodologies I'm good at, I can do. So I have a barbecue. I have an oven. I have a smoker. I have a slow cooker. I do have an Instant Pot, but I never use it. I don't have an air fryer. I don't have a microwave. So whatever you have or don't have, the gadgets that you have, contemplate how you're going to cook the thing. Okay, these chicken thighs can go on the smoker for 4 hours and nothing will go wrong. The smoker is my favorite ignorable tool because you put anything on there and you can leave it for many hours and like nothing really goes wrong. I can make chicken stock out of the bones and I put that in the slow cooker and have soup on the counter just ready to go, right? That kind of thing. I think about how I'm going to serve and cook the food, how I'm going to cook it. What gadgets do I have? What cooking skills do I have? I know how to grill a steak, so I can easily buy some steaks and grill them up. That's an 8 or 10 minute cook on the barbecue. That's easy, man. That's fast. Maybe you don't know how to grill a steak. You could learn. Maybe you're more of a cast iron skillet steak maker type of person. Maybe, who knows? Maybe you don't like red meat, right? So we'll get into that in a second too, but contemplate when you're going to cook and eat and how you're going to cook. I'm dead serious. I'm doing this math because the schedule piece has to line up with, and how will I cook it? If I have 15 minutes to cook, then what am I cooking? That might be a steak because that's a quick and easy cook. If I have half an hour, maybe I'll get a chicken ready, put that in the oven, and then I'll eat it later. Like I have to think about those two things together. Does that make sense? We're trying to be proactive with our schedule here. Then I think about, what do I want to eat? What do I feel like eating? So when people get bored of the food, I just never do because I'm at the grocery store, every 3 days buying new food. It's like, I'm kind of tired of red meat. I'm going to go for chicken and fish. I'm kind of tired of chicken and fish. I'm going to go for, pork. I'm over pork. I'm going to hit back on my red meat train, but I don't feel like having steak. I'm going to go ground beef. Maybe I'll try lamb. I've never cooked it before, but I can learn because anything is learnable now with YouTube, right? So I go by whims. What kind of looks good? What do I have time to cook? What's on sale? Like quite often I'll just go right to the end cap at the butcher aisle and see what's on sale because everything's so expensive. Everything in the grocery store is expensive, not just meat. Meat is not more expensive than vegetables and fruit. Everything's expensive, quite honestly. So I'll go to the end cap. What's on sale? Oh, look, ribs are on sale. Okay, well, I could do some ribs. That's a nice slow cook. That's an ignorable food. I can figure out how to cook ribs, no big deal. Oh, look, chicken drumsticks are on sale. That's great. I'll just buy a whole freaking family tray of chicken drumsticks. Oh my gosh, there's 18 drumsticks in here. I'm one person because I'm usually cooking for one. But I can buy this whole tray and cook them all, and then I'll have cooked protein in the fridge, and that's the most convenient option is cooked food in the fridge. Like I'm doing this mild calculus. What time do I have? What type of cooking will I do? What's on sale? And what do I want? That's how I go to the meat section of the grocery store and buy. Then I want to contemplate convenience options. So my favorite convenience options, steak. Change my mind. Steak is an 8-minute cook. There's almost nothing faster than that. You get the barbecue screaming hot, you throw the steak on, you flip, flip, flip. You're good. Bob's your uncle. Steak cooking is very easy. I consider steak a fast food. Steak is fast food. Eggs, 4 minutes to scramble, or you can ignore them on the stove boiling while you're in the shower. Frozen burger patties, massive for me. I will go to Costco for those. They have the big sleeve and they're quite nice actually. And you can find frozen burger patties any store, flip the box over, look at the ingredients, beef, water, salt. let's go in the shopping cart. If it's got a bunch of like wheat crumbs and cornstarch, I don't really want to eat those kind of mushy, gross burgers. I want meat, right? So that's easy to find. Very, very easy to find frozen burger patties. They cook from frozen on a pan or on the barbecue. Is that gourmet? No. Is every meal you're going to eat going to be mindful? No. We have to prepare for that. We're busy people. We're going to be eating mindlessly sometimes. And I don't want you to think that's some defect of your character. That's realistic in the modern human world. We're going to have to be shoveling food into our face on the way out the door or standing at the counter or in the 15 minutes between Zoom sessions. That's the reality of our life. We can still support ourselves with nourishing food while we do that. 1,000,000%. I believe it. I won't hear another word of it. I love canned tuna. I love a rotisserie chicken. These are my convenience options. Now, if you go to Costco, if you're a Costco shopper, I think they have even more convenience options. I feel like Costco has in their frozen section some really nice stuff. If it's in a box or a bag, I'm not mad about it. I know that's another weird platitude you hear about grocery stores. Shop the outside aisles only. What are you talking about? The salt and the olive oil are on the inside aisles. Are you kidding me? The tea bags. I got to go in the inside aisles. You also hear people say, don't buy packaged food. Well, you know what? You might need to. So there's really nice options you can find. I mean, the grocery situation it's never been better. You can find a lot of really beautiful convenience options. Flip over the package, look at the ingredients. Is there a ton of weird fillers and gross ingredients in there? I might avoid that. But if it's like, oh, this has like meat and, some spices in it, I mean, it's perfectly fine. Go for it. I need you to have convenience options in your home that are protein forward so that you're not saying, oh, well, I guess it's going to be a pizza, which is fine. If you want to have a pizza or you want to go to McDonald's and have Big Mac, knock yourself out. There's no problem. Like anything like that done occasionally is not a big deal. I'm talking about like the 85% of the time when you want to support yourself with nourishing food when you're cooking it and preparing food at home so you can actually achieve your health goals. Just be very prepared. So have convenience options. This is how I shop. Do I have a convenience option or two in here? Do I have some food that looks yummy that I can cook and eat and squeeze into my schedule? Cool. We're done here. Grocery shopping. Too easy. Wait, I forgot my favorite convenience option, which is ground beef. Ground beef is such a great convenience food. First of all, it's usually relatively affordable, although it's hard to say now. Everything's kind of a crapshoot with grocery prices. You can cook it up any old way you want. You can cook it from frozen. Works out okay. You can make an Italian-style meat sauce, meatballs, taco bowls, you name it. It's just so versatile and inexpensive and easy. And I've found that people sometimes aren't into red meat very much. They don't like to gnaw on red meat, which is completely fine. That's kind of a skill you have to practice, is eating this kind of meat-forward diet. Sometimes ground meats feel better. I know a lot of folks like to do ground chicken, ground turkey. Love that for you. I've never done that. I've never been a ground chicken or turkey person. I don't know why. Then we go to the produce aisle, and it's like, what do I want here? What's going to go well with my meats? Broccoli? Asparagus? What's on sale? Big one, right? Big one. I don't want to break the bank at the grocery store. I have to eat food. That I know. Food's expensive. Okay. What can I do with this information? What's the best I can do? And I honestly think, and I've done this math before, I've looked at my grocery bill. Meat and vegetables and fruit, they're all expensive, but you can get deals like blueberries right now. I don't know why blueberries are so cheap. I'm like, let's go blueberries. Blueberries with every meal because those are cheap right now. I don't know why. So yeah, vegetables, fruit. Yes, fruit is allowed. You can eat fruit, potatoes, knock yourself out. I always buy potatoes. Roasted vegetables. We're going to talk about cooking in a second, but like just, figure out again, what do I have time to make? What's going to go well with the proteins I've got? What do I like? What do my kids like? Don't forget about your kids when you're shopping because they have to like the food too. Your family has to like it too. You're buying for everybody in the household. So if the kids hate fish, well, don't bring fish home. I want you to make simple meals that work for you and your family. And everybody kind of cooks different. This I do know. I have clients who say, oh, we all have different meals. We all cook for ourselves. It's fine. And I have other clients who say, we all eat the same thing. We sit down at the table together and anything in between. So you know how your family eats. You know how you eat and cook and prepare food and have meals. Contemplate all that while you're shopping. Like, don't just leave it to vibes. You can't just go shopping on vibes. That's not going to work. We have to have a bit of a plan, like a vague plan. And I'm all about keeping this as easy as possible. Like, I don't walk in with a big master map of the grocery store. Like, oh, here's my plan. I literally walk in with no list. And usually I forget my bags at home too. So I have to go buy more bags every time I go to the grocery store. And I look at my schedule. My calendar is my grocery shopping companion. My calendar and whatever is on sale is my grocery shopping companion. I don't make a list. I don't have a plan. I don't have a menu. Maybe you do. Maybe you have a pre-planned menu. I love that for you. I do think that there's utility in having some flexibility in your menu, because this is why, by the way, I hate meal plans. And as soon as I graduated nutrition school, I was like, oh, I'm never doing that again. Never doing a meal plan again. As long as I live, I hate doing them. I also don't think they help anybody. And then you're on this meal plan and you're like, but I don't want meatloaf. I don't feel like it. Then you're going to what? DoorDash something in that's naughty, and then that's fine. But you're going to feel bad about that. And then we have the shame spiral because you self-sabotaged, and there's a lot of psychosocial elements to food here that I always like to bring in. It's not just going grocery shopping. It's like, how are you going to feel when you eat it? How are you going to feel when you don't feel like eating the thing you meant to make for dinner tonight and you have to reach into the freezer and find something else? How are you going to feel about that? Let's just anticipate all these scenarios so that you can feel good about eating food. Okay, so we've got the groceries. Now we have to bring them home. They have to come home. They have to be in your fridge ready to cook. Pause for a second. If you are a big grocery shopper and you do massive Costco type hauls and the food is in your freezer frozen, then instead of shopping every 3 days, you need to be thawing every 3 days. So you'll go to your freezer and say, what time do I have? What cooking gadgets do I have? What do I feel like eating? Oh, I'll thaw some chicken. I'll thaw some beef. Oh, here's some elk that the hubs got on his hunting trip last year. Let's thaw that out. Whatever it is, thaw. You've got to thaw a few times a week. Anchor that habit to something in your life. Because if the food is frozen in the freezer and you're like, oh, couldn't cook, it was frozen, that's on you. Thaw it out. Right? Simple. Now we got to cook it. I want to talk about cooking very generally. Some people listening to this are amazing cooks. Some of us are not. And here's an anecdote, because I love sharing anecdotes with you. My mother used to tell me or describe me as being somebody who wasn't good in the kitchen. She'd say, oh, Erin, she's my tomboy. She's my little outdoors girl. She doesn't like to be in the kitchen. She doesn't know how to cook. That's not her thing. She's not domestic. My mom would say that about me. Now, I was a child, so no, I wasn't chefing it up in the kitchen. But she put that identity on me, and I believed it. I believed it for decades. That's interesting, isn't it? So for when I moved out and went to go live on my own, and I'm in my 20s, I was doing frozen foods, and I was doing to-go meals and yogurts and stuff because I couldn't cook. According to the local lore, I wasn't good at it. And then one day, here's the deal, gang. Here's the deal. Just do it. You can do it. And this is going to sound so crazy, but if I can just share a parenthetical, while I'm in the middle of a story, I'm going to go into a parenthetical here. I had a client who said to me, hey, Erin, I have this really bad habit of nibbling on snacks while I work. It's like my concentration technique. I have to be just nibbling on something. I need that oral fixation. And they said, I'd like to stop that behavior. So how can I stop it? And I was like, just stop it. It's like a Bob Newhart skit. Well, just stop doing it. You can stop doing that. You're not a slave to that. So similarly, I decided, wait a second, who says I can't cook? I can cook. It's not that freaking hard. I'll Google it. How do you roast a chicken? You can Google that. I Googled that, and guess what? It's so easy. It's basically idiot proof. How do you grill a steak? How do you slow cook pork ribs? How? Look it up. How do I make soup stock from chicken bones? You can learn how to do anything. You can cook. You can absolutely cook. Now, some of you are amazing cooks, and you're thinking, wow, how hard is cooking? But for those of us who think we can't cook, we've actually anchored to this incorrect limiting belief about ourselves. And I'm just like, you know what? Guess what? Cooking's not that hard. You can figure it out. And we have the gadgets, right? You've got the air fryer. Air fryers are making everybody into amazing cooks. You can cook meat in your air fryer. Maybe you figure out the barbecue. I love that for you. Let's not forget, we all have an oven and stove. It's like we forgot that we have that one. We all have one of those. Figure out how to use it. I've got a smoker. I love my smoker. Maybe you have an Instant Pot. Maybe you use sous vide. I don't know. But we have all kinds of different ways of cooking, and you can learn how to do them all. You can. I believe in you. And sometimes, you know what? You're going to pop something in the microwave and heat it up. Sometimes it's going to be frozen burgers on a pan. It's not always going to be an amazing meal, and that's okay. But you can cook. Gosh darn it. I believe in you. And when you're cooking, by the way, so this is another on the topic of variety, because people say they get bored of the food. I got to tell you, I've been eating this way for 15 years and I've never been bored once. I mean, first of all, I love feeling this good in my body. I love fitting everything into my closet. I love packing a suitcase to go on a beach vacation, knowing all my sundresses, all my shorts, all my swimsuits fit. I know what they look like. My body hasn't changed in 15 years. That's pretty cool. I'm not bored of the food. It doesn't taste boring to me because I'm cooking different things based on my whims, based on my schedule, based on what's on sale. And I'll play with the seasoning. I'll play with the cooking technique. I'll play with the seasoning. Maybe I'll oven roast this chicken. Maybe I'll spatchcock the chicken. That's like you slice it and, spatchcock. I didn't know how to do that either. I was like, what if I wanted to cook this chicken on my smoker so I could ignore it for 4 hours? And then I Googled that. And it's like, well, you spatchcock it. You basically slice it and then flatten it and put it on the smoker. And then it cooks evenly on the smoker. And I learned how to do that on the internet. So if I'm spatchcocking the chicken and on the smoker, that's a different flavor profile. That already tastes different. That's already a different eating experience than an oven roasted chicken. Grilled chicken wings are different than smoked chicken wings, and slow cooker roast is different than a roast in the oven. The cooking technique changes the experience of eating the food. What am I having alongside the food? What seasoning am I using? You can make the food more interesting. If you're sick and tired of eating eggs, stop eating eggs. If you're sick and tired of eating steak with salt and pepper, then don't eat steak with salt and pepper. Have pork chops with a nice Greek spice blend. Mix it up, lemon, pepper. Let's go. You can mix up your flavors by cooking differently. And it doesn't have to be elaborate. And by the way, oh my gosh, if you do have time and you are like adventurous in the kitchen, then you've got recipes. Recipes are things that you concoct, and there's sauces and there's all kinds of elaborate bits and pieces to it. This beautiful meal comes out of it. Like, that's amazing. It's imperative that you love your food. It's imperative that this food doesn't suck. Who out there ate chicken breasts and brown rice and steamed broccoli for a long time? I sure did. I'll never eat that again. Like, I have such PTSD about chicken breasts. I hate them so much. I buy rotisserie chicken and I end up often throwing the chicken breast away because I don't want to touch it. It's like, I could eat that, but I really don't want to. I don't want to eat lame food anymore. Like, I'm done. I'm a hedonist. I want delicious food every bite. I want to enjoy every bite of food I'm eating. Nothing that I eat is a drag. If anything that you're eating feels like a drag, let's address that, because that's not going to work. To me, that feels like a diet. And diets are so quittable because they suck, because the food's boring and you don't like it. Also, why else do diets fail? They're not sustainable. Why aren't they sustainable? Because they didn't factor you in. Didn't factor in your schedule or how you know how to cook or what gadgets you have or what your family likes to eat. Didn't factor any of that in. We're factoring that in from jump. You go to the grocery store, you're factoring all that in. So this eating style fits into your life, not the other way around. It's not squeezing your life into some eating plan. It's got to go the other way around. This is the only way to make this sustainable. That's why this lesson is so important, and I love it so much. Because this is you, a human being having a lived experience, going grocery shopping, cooking food, eating food with a family, with a hectic schedule. This is you being a human who just simply has to eat food and maybe has a health or weight loss goal. And all of that stuff has to coexist somehow. And this is how we do it. We just get a little more intentional about shopping and cooking and foraging. So foraging is the final piece here. Foraging is, I'm out in the world. I didn't bring anything with me. I got to find something in the wild to eat, which you're going to do. And I absolve you of any guilt, because I get this a lot from clients. Oh, I really screwed up, Erin. I had to go to a volleyball tournament with my daughter all day on Saturday, and we didn't have time to eat because we left the house at 5:30 in the morning, which is insane. It's insane. Kids' sports. It was too early to eat breakfast, so we didn't eat before we left. And then she was playing volleyball. We had breaks between games, so we went to the local pizza shop that was in town because we were in this little tiny remote village out in the middle of nowhere playing this volleyball tournament. I had pizza at the pizza place. I really screwed up. I can't believe it. I always self-sabotage, et cetera, et cetera. Then the woman goes down the spiral of self-hatred, and it's like, it's all good. You were at a volleyball tournament. You did the best you could. It's fine. I just need to reiterate that doing something like that once in a while is absolutely nothing. Oh, the only restaurant in town at this little ramshackle volleyball tournament was a pizza shack. So we had pizza. Move on. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. You can't screw this up. Let's say you are on a road trip or you're on a vacation or whatever, or you want to eat better at the volleyball tournament because you have agency. You can do whatever you want. You can eat at the pizza place or you can not eat at the pizza place. So here's some of my favorite foraging techniques. First of all, yes, you could bring food from home. Absolutely. You can do that. I love that. Bring a cooler bag. It's all good. I'm really bad at that myself. Even when I had a corporate job and I was supposed to bring lunch to work every day, I never did. I just wasn't good at it. So yeah, you could do that. But what if you don't? This is the whole thing. What if you don't do that? Then what? So here's where I go. It's like, okay, well, I have these parameters of how I like to eat. I like to have an epic breakfast. I like to eat in a funnel shape. Well, can I find a breakfast joint? That's easy to find, baby. Are you kidding me? Any little tiny town has a breakfast joint. I mean, it couldn't be easier to find an epic breakfast. Denny's, IHOP, it doesn't matter. It could be a little hole-in-the-wall greasy spoon. You're going to find a breakfast. And like when I go for breakfast, I do it up. I could be at the airport. I could be on a road trip. It doesn't matter where I am. I could be out of town for meetings, staying at a hotel. I can find breakfast. Does the hotel have a breakfast? Maybe. Continental, croissants and muffins. Well, around the corner is a Denny's. I'll just go there. Do they cook in disgusting seed oils? Yeah, but I'm not going to worry about that because I'm here to get an epic breakfast in and get my protein in. So I'm just going to go do it. It's fine. Remember, anything you do occasionally is not a big deal, including eating at greasy diners that use shitty oils on their grill top. It's fine. And I'll order from the menu. For example, there's one at the airport that I go to, and they have a classic breakfast, and it's like 2 eggs and either ham or bacon or sausage, and it comes with toast and hash browns. I'm like, I'll take the classic breakfast. I'd like 2 extra eggs, and I'll take ham and sausage. And by the way, just for whatever it's worth, I don't ask them to leave the toast and hash browns off. I'm not about that. It's like, just bring me the extra protein. I'll decide what I'm going to eat on this plate. And I don't care if that sounds like an astronomical amount of food, because guess what? I'm going to eat that breakfast. Then I'm going to sit my ass on a plane for 4 hours, and I'm going to drink my green tea or my water and be fine. Get to the destination, wait around at the baggage claim for an hour because, yes, I'm a checked bag girly. Go to the hotel. I will be fine all day until I settle at my destination and then go for dinner. Versus the typical airplane and airport habit, which is snacking all day while you sit on your butt on a plane. I don't want to feel gross when I get to my destination. I want to feel well nourished. I want to feel hungry and ready for a nice meal. So I nail a giant breakfast at the airport. I customize it, and then I ride that wave. Now, you can do that anywhere. You can do that at the volleyball tournament. You can do that on the road trip. You can. I feel like finding a breakfast joint is so easy. They're everywhere, honestly. So knock yourself out. Other options would include other restaurants, right? So if you're looking to forage for a lunch or dinner, well, what restaurants are there? Most restaurants have perfectly fine options on the menu, unless you're really stuck. And like, for example, I'm a Canadian, right? So one of our big restaurants that you'll find in every small town, well, there's 2, Boston Pizza and Tim Hortons. You'll find a Boston Pizza and a Tim Hortons in every tiny town, probably a Subway too, actually. That's probably really typical. And at those 3 restaurants, it's a little hard actually to find protein-forward meals, to be honest with you. So, hey, if you're like, oh my God, I'm in this little one-horse town and all they have is a Tim Hortons and a Subway and a Boston Pizza, you're like, I guess I'm getting a sandwich. And it's fine. Just go get a sandwich and don't stress about it. Like, what's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. So just be okay with making that choice occasionally. But you also probably can modify things. Like Subway, you can turn the sandwich into a salad, right? Boston Pizza has like chicken wings on the appetizer menu. Tim Hortons, I don't really know. I think they have egg bites or something. But like, you can find a protein option, and maybe, like, for example, egg bites at Starbucks. Those are so tiny. Those don't satiate me at all. I would need at least 2 orders of those to be satiating, and then you're paying like $17. So, but like, I'll add that to a nice latte and maybe a breakfast wrap, egg bites, latte. Like, that's a substantial amount of food. I mean, it's not the most nourishing thing, but I'm also not going to die. It's fine. You'll do the best you can. I think you can forage at restaurants relatively easy. There's a few exceptions, restaurants where there's just nothing protein forward, like Tim Hortons. But I think you can do it. And then the other thing is that if there's a fast food restaurant like a Tim Hortons or a Subway, then there's probably a grocery store and there's probably a gas station. And you can look there too. Now, grocery store is my number 1 hack. Grocery stores are amazing. They have rotisserie chickens. Most grocery stores have really amazing hot bars and deli sections that have cooked, prepared food. Or I've gone into the grocery store on the run and bought like a package of salami and a bag of snap peas and just called it lunch. The gas station, get yourself some jerky, whatever, a bag of nuts. Like, there's things we can do. So it's actually not that hard to find food on the run. But I think more importantly, it's not bad if you do that. Like, I absolve you of any guilt you have about, oh my gosh, I ate on the run. I had no choice. It's completely fine. That's how life is going to serve up your schedule sometimes. You're going to be out of the house early to catch a plane or go to a volleyball tournament or whatever. And it's going to be out of your hands to some extent. I also want to say that it's probably not as out of your hands as you think. Like, if you're on a road trip, it's actually not even that hard to find supportive food on a road trip. I did that experiment. I was living in my car basically for 3.5 weeks, tent camping around the Oregon, California coast. And I had a tiny cooler, not even a plug-in cooler, just a regular old igloo cooler. And I lived out of a cooler for 3.5 weeks in a tent. I lived in my tent or in my car. And I ate supportive food every day. I had an epic breakfast every morning. I would fry eggs over the fire. Or I'd go into town and get a greasy diner breakfast. Then I would ride the wave of my epic breakfast all day. And then I got to find one more meal. I'll roast a weenie over the fire. I don't mind. I'm not mad about that. Like, I actually think it's so easy to eat on the run if you think about it. And I think it goes back to the anecdote I shared about my mom. We believe that eating at the airport is hard. We believe that eating at the volleyball tournament is hard. We believe that eating on the road is hard. So we just decide, oh, it's too hard. I can't do it. It's like, no, you can do it. You can do it. It's not that hard. You have to just, first of all, decide, like, can I do this? Do I want to do this? Do I want to cook? Do I want to shop? Do I want to thaw meat from my freezer? Because that's on you. You can do that. You can do anything. Because if we just keep saying, oh, there was nothing thawed in the fridge, so I guess this isn't going to work for me. It's like, no, you can just go thaw and then it works. So my mom said I couldn't cook. I'm like, yes, I can. My client said, I can't stop eating snacks while I work. I'm like, yeah, you can. Of course you can. Don't ascribe to these fatalistic sort of identity statements. You can do this. This can be so easy for you. No matter how good or bad of a cook, no matter how high or low your food budget, no matter how busy your work or family schedule is, you absolutely can feed yourself, and you must. I mean, you wouldn't not feed the kids. You wouldn't not feed the dog. Why are you not feeding yourself? It doesn't even make sense. Just do it. Just do it. Okay. Paula has a good comment here. She says, one of my biggest issues with meal planning was eating separate from my family. We're not doing that anymore, gal pals. You're sitting down to the same meal as your family. I mean, unless you have like celiac disease or a food allergy, obviously you get it. Like you're going to manage your food issues, right? But I hate this idea of moms eating different meals than their family. And I hear it every day. Because I ask women, like, take me through a typical day of eating. And it's like, well, I have a collagen coffee for breakfast. Then I have a salad with chicken for lunch. And I'm like, I know what's coming after this collagen coffee chicken. It's like snack before dinner. Then I sit down to dinner and I'll cook dinner, but I only eat part of it. Because some of it's not for me. It's the carbs are for the kids. It's like, why? And then a snacks before bed. And I remember my mom eating a different meal than the rest of my family. I remember my mom eating grapefruit for dinner. I actually was trying to remember, why was grapefruit a diet food? Like, why did that become, remember that in the 80s or 90s, your mom eating grapefruit? Like, I'm on a diet and there's like the fridge is full of grapefruits. Imagine that in this era, like of keto, where like fruit makes you fat. It's just so funny, like the little fads we go through. My mom would eat grapefruit for dinner. I'd be sitting eating my spaghetti and meatballs and she's eating grapefruit. And listen, I'm really sensitive about making moms feel bad about how they ate in front of their families. You don't have to feel bad because it's not your fault if you did that. That's the cultural programming. But like, we're not doing that anymore. One thing that really I get excited about, if I may, is this idea of you all modeling a super chill relationship with food at the dinner table, serving up the same meal the rest of your family's eating the meal, chatting with your family, just being a normal person eating food. I wish that for you. I love the idea of mom just chilling out and eating dinner with her family. I love that idea. I've even had clients whose husbands kind of pulled them aside after dinner and said, that was amazing. I've never seen you eat a meal with us like that before. Like, how crazy is that? So that stops, right? We're going to be done with that. Let's be done with that. Yeah, you're definitely going to eat the same meals as your family. And if the volleyball teams go on for pizza, you're going to go for pizza. And you know what? If you go to the pizza place and you're like, I don't really want pizza, I'm going to get a salad. Cool. You can do that as well. You have absolute agency here. Whether you opt in or out of the pizza or opt in or out of the salad, there's no moral win or loss there. There's no morality there. You're just a human being having a lived experience at a damn volleyball tournament in the middle of nowhere at a pizza joint. I know it's a lot to consider, but like removing the fraughtness from all food decisions and just being a human that eats food in the context of your life. Look at your schedule, look at your cooking abilities, look at what your family wants to eat, look at it all and just be reasonable and make reasonable food choices. If you make a naughty food choice, it's not a big deal. Nothing is wrong with that. But you could also make really supportive food choices that, inch you closer to your goals in almost any situation, except Tim Hortons. Okay, and Paula said it actually caused my daughter to question her food. So that's the unspoken thing I didn't want to say. And I don't want to say because I feel for moms. And I don't have children. I think you guys might know that. I don't have children, but I was the daughter of a dieting mom. I have smart, intelligent nieces. I worry about them. When I talk to women who have daughters, I worry about the daughters. I can't help but think about that daughter. I can't help it. I won't say anything. But I'm like, we got to get this mom eating better so that the daughter can have a hope in hell of not suffering like we did for decades of life. Now, I actually think, to be honest with you, this generation coming up behind us, what are they? Gen Alpha? Gen Z? Gen Alpha? I don't know. I've lost track. I don't think they're going to have the same body issues that we do because they're growing up in kind of a different aesthetic era, which is awesome. I just think they're already ahead of the game. but we grew up in the 90s and 2000s. And that's when I say grew up, I mean came of age, became women in the 90s and 2000s. And that's when things were really bad for us. So I'm hopeful that the cultural influence of the generation that you're all raising will be, the cultural influence will be less troubling. Hard to say. But anyway, I don't want moms to feel guilty about how you engage with food in the past. You can start right now. It's just like my client who nibbles at her desk. It's like, well, stop doing that. It's like me. As of right now, I can cook. It's like you. As of right now, I sit down and eat the same meal as my family. Just as of right now, let's be normal eaters. That's what this ends up being, a lesson in how to eat normally. That's how everybody else in the world eats. Just not women. We feel like we have to absolutely micromanage it and be like super obsessive about it. And it's just not working for us anymore. So let's just not do it anymore. What do you say? So shopping, cooking, foraging, that's how you're going to execute this successfully forever and have a sustainable program. When you've tried 8, 9, 12, 75 different diets before and none of them were sustainable, it's because you were not able to develop the skills to make it sustainable. This is skill development, the skill of shopping, the skill of cooking, the skill of foraging, just at a basic level. This is skill development. This is what's going to make this sustainable for you. Isn't that cool? All right.